we buffering? Do I keep sticking? Can you see all there? Morning. Morning, everyone. How are we all? Scorchio. Scorchio. What was that show where they used to have the weather presenter that used to go, Scorchio? Was it the Fast Show? I think it was the Fast Show. The Fast Show. Hi, Raspberry Mojito Girl, Ellery Jones, Hazel Melbourne, Alison Fisher, Martin McKeown, Helen, 75, South Africa. How are you, my darling? Leslie Culpin, Julie Everts, Fiona Reed, Claude Egan. Oh, how are we all? Laurel Nichols. Aren't you hot on that woolly hat? No, I'm so cool and lovely. Oh, so nice. Ellery Jones. I was joking. I'd frozen right at the beginning. It's my comfort hat. It's my Monday morning hat. Muriel Roberts, Debbie Sanderson, Christos Andrio, how are you? How is Natasha? I hope you're all good. Funky kids, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, 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 hello. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all good. Morning to Michelle and Ian. I hope your late drive was okay. And you got back safely. Hazel Malbon, I'm off to London today, going to see Killer Mockingbird. My God, I can't think of a worse day to go to Shaftesbury Avenue. With Rafe Spall, correct? Yes, I hear it's very good. Morning, Rhiann Williams. Pink Lady, good morning. How are we all? How is everyone? Emma Carter, how are you, my darling? How are we all? How is everyone? Thanks for it's been a lovely weekend of content on the channel. Fabulously kind of, you know, relaxed No Name Sunday show for all you members. A lovely members live for all you members on Friday night with Nanny Di. Nanny Di was brilliant. If you're here, Mum, Nanny Di, thank you for being so just lovely. You were just brilliant. Morning, Julie Neary, Creator Holic, hi, Andrew Crash. And obviously you had a bit of green-fingered hell fun. Green-fingered fun last night. Weekly rushes landed, all that kind of stuff. All sorts of stuff kind of landed over the weekend, actually. Just to take the edge off the heat. And the heat, it's going to get hot to trot. How hot is it where you are? Is it really hot? And excuse the rather curious poll this morning. Should women's nipples be banned on Instagram? There will be some context to that in a while, and it does pivot around Florence Pugh. If you haven't seen, go to our Popcorn Junkies Instagram account and you'll see that Florence Pugh is in the press regarding, regarding her breasts and nipples, basically, for bad reasons and then for powerful reasons. Sarah Dulali, brilliant. Loads more cards should be landing with you all today. Claire Ross Reed, yours should land today too, so fingers crossed. Raspberry Mojito Girl, I think I've said hello. Hello again, if I haven't. Katie Wilson, hello. It's going to be a hot one, that's for sure, says Hazel Malbon. Yeah, it really is. Hello, Mark from Oz. Myra Instance, how hot is it in Australia? I suppose it's quite cold in Australia. Is it literally a kind of swap? Do you effectively go, right, Christmas Day here, cold, Christmas Day Australia, hot, and is it like a complete swap? 29 degrees here today, Miriam W. Where's here? Winter in New Zealand. Oh, there we go, Andrew Crash. Ellery Jones, thank you, you enjoyed them. Ellen, really, really hot. Andrew Crash, if you ban women from showing their nipples, then so should men be banned too. Wow, that's what we're going to get to. That's what we're going to get to. Why is that funny little piece of flesh, when a man shows it, absolutely fine? And when is it not? Why is it not? Why is it not, given the fact that really, let's face it, for men it's infinitely more just decorative than it is for women. It serves a purpose. Not that functionality should explain things, if you know what I mean. But yeah, seems curious, doesn't it? Hi, Renee Rolfe, Steph for Mind UK. Remember to drink plenty and watch your animal family animal family who also, yeah, animals, be careful with. You shouldn't be taking them for walks in the peak of the day. And for all the older members of the family, Torren for Yifa, hello. And for any older members of the household, obviously keep them in the cool, keep them in the dark and stuff like that. That's why Nanny Di is locked in her flat. Anyway, lovely to see you all. It's 19 degrees here, winter's day in Perth, Myra Instance. 19 degrees, that's a winter's day in Australia, I guess. That's kind of like a balmy day here in the UK. Warm here in Ireland, it's lovely. 25 in Lincolnshire, Nanny Bluebell. Okay, all sorts of varied. Okay, well, let's get the boring shit out of the way, shall we? Priti Patel. Priti Patel is running for the leadership of the Conservative Party. I'm going to cut through the bullshit right now, and I'm going to say that I think there's going to be 3 candidates by the end of all of this. And the 1922 Select Committee are going to, I think, announce later today what the threshold is that each candidate needs to reach in terms of support in order to go through to the next round, so that not every single Conservative MP can run. Thoughts to anyone, Christos, absolutely. Thoughts to anyone in California being affected by the fires. The sequoia trees are under threat too. It's running Yosemite National Park. It's just running ragged through there, isn't it? So I think there's going to be 3 candidates in the end. There's going to be Rishi. I think there's going to be Sajiv. If Sajiv might join with Rishi, and I think there's going to be Liz Truss and Priti Patel. I think Rishi and Sajiv are going to collapse into one, and I think Liz Truss and Priti Patel are going to collapse into another. And I've got a really funny feeling that Liz Truss and Priti Patel could possibly be considered by the Conservative Party as the modern day version of Thatcher, a composite Thatcher. That's what I think. I think the Patel Truss ticket could be a composite Thatcher ticket. That's what I think. I think most of the others are going to fall away. That's my theory. Maybe what's his name, Turgendot, whatever his name is, Turgendot. Anyone who is anti-Brexit is not going to get there. Let's face it. Anyone who's anti-Brexit is not going to get there. And that's it. That's it. We've done them. We've done them. But what are your thoughts, guys? What are your thoughts? Keep voting in the old poll. Do you think women's nipples should be banned? Now, of course, what I'm talking about here contextually is, should women's nipples be, I'm not talking about provocative, or I'm not talking about, the green light for porn to be posted on Instagram. I'm talking about women just posting images of themselves. Should it be allowed? Or should it be treated in the same way as men? Should there be, is it right that there's one set of rules for men and another set of rules for women? Why don't we look at that story now anyway? The actress Florence Pugh has criticised vulgar men who have criticised the shape and size of her bosoms because of the see-through Valentino dress that she wore at a Valentino show. She received all sorts of critical comments, trolling all sorts of things about the shape of her body, the size of her breasts, all this kind of stuff. And she wrote on Instagram that technically her nipples are covered, but she was kind of provoking the censors on Instagram by claiming we need to free the fucking nipple. That's what she's saying. I don't know if you remember a while back, Penelope Cruz's most recent film, Parallel Mothers, had as a poster a lactating nipple on the poster. And when they issued the poster to promote the film, Instagram pulled the poster down. They pulled the post down, and then they had to reverse the decision. So it's good to see that none of her posts have actually come down. But it does raise questions, doesn't it, about whether, why, and I want to ask, why is, not in a sexual matter, not in a sexual way, why is the woman's nipple such a cause for concern on social media, or for people in general? Why is it okay for men's nipples to be out, but not women's nipples? I just want to know. Steph from Mind UK, if it's like for breastfeeding or breast cancer or body positivity, then yeah, but if it's outrage page 3 and edited, then no. Interesting. What if it's your body, you're posting it, you're in control of it, and it's up to you? Okay, you can't control what other people are going to say about it or do with it, but if it's your choice, what do you think? Silkani, fun fact, if you Photoshop, oh, where have you gone? Sorry, you've just pinged up. It pings up sometimes, really. Oh, where have you gone? That looked really interesting. Here, fun fact, if you Photoshop men's nipple on women, it's technically allowed. No. If you Photoshop a man's nipple onto a woman's photo, that's weird. That's weird in so many different ways. Let's have a look. It's like people will always find something to complain about, Christos. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah, absolutely. No. Lots of you people saying no to Priti. Creatorholic because they have been sexualized. Important point. They've become sexualized. So you might want to say free the nipple, but actually they will forever be victim of being sexualized. I guess, I suppose. Why do you want naked pictures of themselves on the internet, Lindsay Williams? Just why do men go topless? I don't know. I mean, I suppose I'm not asking about where we're at. I suppose I'm wanting to know existentially why we've got to this place. Why have we got to this place? Carly, you know, my nipples are nicer than my husband's, so why should I not post if I choose to? His have hair around them, etc. Well, I've added around them, I presume you meant that. Helen Fatherley, it is annoying to wear a bra when you do not need one, just so your nipples don't show. Bras are uncomfortable when you have no boobs, just an annoying tight band. I mean, I suppose if you look at the photographs of Florence Pugh, she's just wearing something, isn't she? And it just happens to be the case that they can be seen. And I suppose in a sense they are actually covered. And in a way, Instagram, although she provoked the Instagram censors, they're up, they're there. I mean, you know, not the nipples, the post is up. Years of page 3, says Sarah Begley, have made the female nipple something rude rather than natural. Interesting, isn't it? And it's difficult, that. It's difficult. Yeah, Louise Pudney, she looked beautiful. Because they've been made sexual, I think it's sad, isn't it, for younger generations coming through, or for people coming through who are like, well, I didn't make it that, and I want to own my body. In a sense, what you're saying is that you have to curtail showing these things because of men again, because you can't control men, because men can't control themselves. And what's happened, obviously, is poor old Florence Pugh has been absolutely attacked for the aspect and nature of her breasts and nipple shape, size, and everything like that. But you just think, good God, really? I don't see her photographs as, I don't even see her photographs as particularly sexual. I just see them as a woman wearing something that's quite revealing. Andrea Crash, equal rights for all. If men are allowed to be topless and no crime, then so should women if they choose to go topless. Sick of men always deciding over women. And is it not a bit of a kind of get out? Isn't it not sort of a, is it a cultural form of control to say, well, it's become sexualized now you shouldn't do it? I mean, I find it deeply discomforting when, if you're in the street and a bloke just walks along with a great big beer guy. I find that really, really offensive. I do. I mean, not because of the body shape, not because of that, but because what usually comes with it is an attitude of, yeah, there it is, look at it. Look at me. You know what I mean? It's only me. Legally, women can walk around naked, whereas men can't because of external genitalia. Oh, is that true, legally? Yeah, equal rights, Andrew Crash for all. Oh yeah, no, sorry, I've read you. Faith Goodman, Penny Mordaunt maybe will win, but I don't know anything about her. She's on the left. She's left-leaning in the Conservative Party. Bella M, I prefer some modesty myself for men and women. Yeah, I mean, that's the other end of the spectrum, is perhaps some people like modesty across the board. And I understand that. I can get that. I suppose just because, yeah, you know, you don't want to be. I mean, I remember as a child going to, I've talked about it before, Nanny Di, you'll be there. Do you remember at the Lyric Theatre, some massive feminist group do? Women everywhere were sort of literally burning the bra. I remember thinking, God, they're going to need that later, aren't they? And me and William were playing with our Kinder eggs. And we'd look up and there'd be another bra that would kind of like just incinerated and float off into the heavens. And then I think I've said before, there were women in other parts of the feminist group taking ownership of other parts of their body and stuff like that. It struck us as curious because we were like, why would you be more interested in down there or here than a Kinder Egg surprise egg toy? It's infinitely more interesting. This was back in the day when Kinder toys were made of metal. So we were like marveling at the weight and heft of these Kinder toys, and in the background bras were being incinerated, people were examining each other's bits and bobs and championing them and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't bother us, but you know, that was a rarefied kind of strange feminist 70s existence, to be fair. I don't know, tassels for all, says Carly, you know, that's a nice way of putting it, tassels for all. So yeah, Florence Pugh is in the press, brilliant actress. Don't forget to check her out, check out our trailer reaction to Don't Worry Darling, her new film in which she stars as Harry Styles' wife. It looks curious, that film. One of the other stories I've got here, this is something I wanted to talk about last week, and we didn't get a chance. All sorts of things were kicking off, like Bojo resigning. BrewDog, which is a sort of, well, it was a microbrewery, but it's kind of a very successful brewery now, Scottish brewery. BrewDog, the chief executive, has been accused of bullying and creating a toxic work culture. He's been accused by BrewDog staff of abusing his power in the workplace in an open letter from staff members. Now, the reason this interests me is he's come back at this saying that he believes he needs to see a specialist to explore whether his behaviour and the working conditions he's created within his company are a consequence of autism. Discuss. And I just want to ask this question. Can autism or mental health be used to excuse bad behaviour? Mackay, Florence Pugh is an actress. She's an actress, very good actress, British actress. Chin chin. Autism does not equal bad behaviour, says Lindsay Williams. But this is, I agree, I totally agree, Lindsay Williams. And yet at the same time, I have a worry around this, that could a boss like this, who has created a toxic work culture, who perhaps, he claims that he had 100% good, I mean, obviously everything he claims is, he denies all of it and says it's not the case at all. But he, you know, in creating this kind of so-called toxic work culture, can one excuse or explain that behaviour? And if you can, say he is on the autistic spectrum, interesting Jake Dannett, it can be a cause but not an excuse. How should one judge or deal with, as Jacqueline Clement says, it can be a reason but not an excuse. How do you judge, if potentially he has autism, is that essentially a green light for there having to be tolerance of his attitude and behaviour? I know someone, for example, from my life years ago, who was becoming more and more notoriously selfish and increasingly selfish with every year that went by. And they rather proudly stated on one of the last times I saw them, oh, that will explain why I'm so selfish and horrible. I've got autism. They hadn't been diagnosed. They just said it. They just used it. So it's because I'm autistic. That's why I'm an insensitive person. That's what they were sort of claiming. So what do you do? That doesn't make the person any easier to deal with, though, does it? Mackay Smith, no, autism shouldn't be excused for bad behaviour, in my opinion. Pink Lady, everyone's situation is different, especially for children, but as an adult, it can be a reasonable way to explain things, but not an excuse. Adults should know better. But you see that there's the problem. Therein lies the problem. How can you know better if this is a neurodiverse issue that causes social behaviour that you're unable to do anything about? I mean, you know, it's a little bit like, I sometimes, you know, when you're dealing with someone who's particularly difficult or whatever, say you've got someone with, you know, say you've got a sort of profound narcissistic syndrome. Narcissistic syndrome is a condition, or it can be a mental health condition or a condition. Does that thereby sort of exonerate the person from their behaviour that hurts others or destroys others? Does it make them any more livable? Should we then have empathy? Should we sympathise? So what should he do if he does have low-lying autism that causes this kind of behaviour that's disagreeable to his employees? What should he do? Should he perhaps remove himself from a employer scenario, perhaps? Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you have to clip your wings accordingly. Clodagh Egan, someone with autism doesn't understand their behaviour and have to be taught about it. Silkani, it's saying that every person with autism is unlikable and rude. I find it offensive as I am from an autistic family. Yeah, no, that's not what he's saying, and that's not what they're saying. He's suggesting that his behaviour is being interpreted as antisocial, and if that antisocial, and if he is essentially to those employees presenting as antisocial, how can you accommodate his diagnosis? How can you accommodate his condition? Or how can you know if that's his condition? And how could maybe he's doing a disservice to anyone who genuinely is autistic by pulling it off the sort of shelf and saying, well, this is why I'm like I am. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Sarah Palmater, they don't know better. I know two friends I have to take with a pinch of salt because of their autistic spectrum disorder. But narcissistic syndrome, no, they can turn into a murderer, etc. Sarah Begley, autism isn't an excuse for being a git. My son has autism and he certainly doesn't use it as an excuse. He can't pick up on the same social cues as quickly, but he knows how to be respectful. There you go, that's interesting. So this guy, so what you're saying essentially is he can't, even if he's autistic, he can still learn not to be like this, right? Okay. Helen Fatherley, neurodiverse brain rather than the neurotypical brain. As long as you understand what that means, you'll be able to see it when it comes up. Katie Travers, it's a hard question to answer because all autistic people are different and it depends on the person's level of understanding. Exactly, that's my point. It's very hard, very hard. Good Chip Lollipop, so many people self-diagnosing their bad personalities as a disorder. That's, how do you ensure that that isn't happening in this instance? Lindsay Williams, autistic people have daily struggles and they can be extremely sensitive. I don't think they are purposefully, absolutely not, no, not at all. I mean, I think I'm on the, I certainly am, I'm on the spectrum in some capacity. I mean, you know, absolutely not. And I've filmed with families with autistic children, and it's just not the case. I worry with a story like this, how can one, with any sort of accuracy, know whether he's reaching for something that could justify his bad behaviour? Leslie S., I've just seen Florence Pugh's picture. I think she looks stunning. Understood, Mackay. Louise Cooper, my son can be very single-minded. When he has an idea in his mind, there's often no changing it. Yeah, I mean, you know, to be driven as well. You know, a lot of people who are really driven and focused, you know, laser-sharp focus, it can be often a byproduct, a positive byproduct and a negative byproduct for both the person and those they're working with of whatever their neurodiverse condition is. I just think in that instance, well, I just don't know. It's a story. BrewDog boss James Watt seeks autism diagnosis after bullying claim. I suppose you could say at least he's hearing it and at least he's going to talk about it, you know, or examine it or explore it. Pink Lady, personality disorders are not classed as mental illnesses. PDs are caused by upbringing trauma, but again, it is not an excuse. Paula W., my son is autistic, but as any other child behaviour is learnt in childhood. If people didn't understand him as a child, maybe he never learnt to correct his behaviour and was just labelled naughty. There you go, you see. Diverse, therein lies the importance. Diverse, how do we embrace diversity? So yeah, I thought that it's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting topic, and it's a challenging topic. And I'd have thought for parents of and for people with autism, yeah, really difficult to both know how, you know, to both sort of see stories like this and wonder where you sit within it. So my cousin is autistic, says Karanula, and is very sensitive and kind person. Exactly, exactly. Right, if you could, shall we do another poll? If you could, would you use a hangover pill? Polltastic today, guys, polltastic today. If you could, would you use a hangover pill? Obviously, I'm a recovering alcoholic. You can now buy a hangover pill that it promises to leave you feeling fresh the morning after. Pink Lady, not had a hangover in years. God, I mean, that's not to say I don't feel hungover, absolutely. Headaches, nausea and tiredness are the worst, especially when they're self-inflicted by alcohol. But what if you could get rid of those awful headaches, the morning after headaches, with a brand new hangover pill? It's called Merkel, not after Angela Merkel, the Chancellor, but apparently it works by breaking down alcohol in the gut before it gets to the liver. Pure vodka, pure vodka. Faith, I do not drink alcohol, so not needed. Yeah, so this is the Angela Merkel pill, which is a hangover pill. It must be taken 2 hours before you start drinking. Did anyone else used to do that thing where, I don't know who told me at some point, someone said, before you went out on a large one, someone as a teenager or as a young adult, someone say, make sure you drink a pint of milk. It'll line your stomach. I wonder if it's the same concept. Anyway, so Angela Merkel pill will break down your alcohol in the gut before it reaches the liver, but it must be taken 2 hours before. drinking, and it will work for up to 12 hours. Miracle, as in miracle pill, but without all the interesting vowels in it. Trials showed that drinkers who had 2 pills and drank 2 glasses of wine who drinks 2 glasses? If you're drinking, who drinks 2 glasses? Does anyone get a hangover from 2 glasses of wine? Reese Roberts, hot water works for you. Throwing up milk with a hangover is not pretty. Let's say that again. Oh, Lee, hello, Lee. I would use a hangover pill. I needed this yesterday. I had a bit of a tough time and wishes I never had a drink. I was already feeling low. No more drink for me. But who thinks? Yeah, you used to have milk Jill Broad before you went out. One wouldn't want to be in a close-up situation in one's stomach, would one, with milk and all the other stuff that goes in there. Hello, I can't see a Merkel in chat. Were you meaning me? No, Merkel the pill. Mark, just watched this week's Weekly Rushes. Fantastic. Oh, bless you. Thank you, Sophia. Silkani. I wonder how many people are going to experiment using the pill just to make sure it works. I agree. Drink apple juice and eat a banana helps with the hangover. It did for me anyway. I used to find that flat diet Coke the morning after would help the morning after. I could do very little the night before to help. So yeah, the pill costs £30 for a pack of 30 and is available on Merkel's website. It claims to boost energy, and because it features vitamin B12, it will help drinkers feel refreshed. My concern with this is that people will pop them thinking they could drink a whole load more than they would normally. Do you not think that the fear of a hangover or the prospect of a hangover is possibly one of the few things of an evening, though it never really entered my head once I got going, that might say to you, oh, you know what, I'll stop after this one? Or do you not think if, like, say you were a kind of 3 glasses of wine in front of the telly sort of person every night, because you like it, and you took a pill, you'd think, oh yeah, it means I could probably reach to 4 and not worry. And then just gradually people would start to drink more and more. No, I'm thinking like an addict. If this came along when I was young, I'd have been like, yes, hangover pill, right? Okay, I can drink more and not get hungover. Louise Cooper, I used to get terrible hangovers, but now I'm older, I'm much more in control and stop drinking before I get too drunk. I hardly ever drink now, though. I don't enjoy the feeling of being out of control. Cold coffee. Oh, God, sorry. I last sipped that 27 minutes ago. Drink less or not at all, says Karen Ula. Get a fry, Ashley, get a fry up down here. Just don't use that bacon with nitrates or nitrites or nitrites or whatever they're called. Let's see what the poll says. If you could, would you use a hangover pill? Okay, the majority of you say yes. The majority of you say you would. Okay, I think it could be dangerous. What are our other stories here? Oh, tragic story of Lauren Goodger. I hope I pronounced her surname correctly. I'm not au fait with Tammy. Tragic story of Lauren Goodger, who tragically lost her ex-boyfriend in the terrible Turkish car accident recently. She shared a post recently saying that she lost her 2-day-old baby, obviously after giving birth. Tragically sad. She does have another child with a partner, but yeah, just my God. And you know, of course, apparently she was grief-stricken with the death of her ex, and then to have this terrible news. What just awful combination of you know, 2 scenarios to have happen to you in the space of a week, essentially. So of course, Lauren Goodger has asked for, you know, people to kind of let them grieve privately. She's posted on, I believe, Instagram, and tragically sad to lose her baby. So yeah, it's Lauren Goodger from Towie. Sadly, I'm not a Towie aficionado, but lots of people are talking about that, obviously. Nick Kyrgios yesterday. How do you pronounce his surname? Someone write it phonetically. I didn't watch I've got so bored of Wimbledon. I've just got so bored of tennis. It's terrible, isn't it? I used to love it. It's just like whack, 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 whack. Done. Nick Kyrgios went nuts about a woman, a Polish woman by all accounts, in the front of the crowd who kept talking and shouting and cheering. And he basically said, she looks like, can you tell that woman to stop? She looks like she's had 700 drinks. Kyrgios was battling to hold his serve. He kept being interrupted, and he claimed that she was drunk and out of her mind. She had to be removed from the front row. She said, I think she claims that she only had 1 or 2 drinks, and she was wanting to support him. You know what? The good old days of John McEnroe and terrible behaviour. Kyrgios. Thank you very much. I was going to say Kyrgios. God, I don't know. That's curious, isn't it? Kyrgios. Nick Kyrgios, lost his shit because a woman was cheering him on. Looking for a bit of an excuse, I think. Was it funny, Reese? Was it funny? Did they stop the game to take her out? Drunk in charge of a oh, yeah, look, there she is. Oh, right. Helped them. Oh, right. Okay. I didn't watch the tennis. I don't know if anyone else did. I kind of knew it was going to be Djokovic, and it was Djokovic. He's a spoilt pup looking to blame others for his errors, says Cloda. Lee Durrant, will you be watching the new John McEnroe film, Mark? I probably will. And John McEnroe was, in fact, there he is. I'm looking at him. He's on the front of the Observer magazine. Jesus Christ, he looks good. How old is John McEnroe? He looks fit. Like Nadia said, most people who play tennis end up looking quite fit, apart from Boris Becker. He was effing and jeffing, and young George was there. Oh, no. Did he swear in front of the future king? Oh, shit. Sue Barker has retired as well. That makes me feel old. That makes me feel very old. Robots are predicted. The Sun has a curious piece where it just claims robots are predicted to rule the world by 2060, and we're going to become servants. So just in case you are at all worried about artificial intelligence, they give very little backing to this, other than Professor Stephen Hawking once said that AI would be the biggest event in human history. We talked a little bit about this on the No Name Sunday show, the idea that, can bots and tech and AI, when it flips a certain point and it can turn on and off its own switch and realizes that it's in control, we're in trouble. But yeah, apparently software firm QLick questioned 2,000 Brits, and 60% called robots dangerous to humans, and 86% said they must be properly supervised. What year do you reckon the robots are going to control us, guys? Oh, Zoe, you saw the Elvis movie and loved it. What a treat, isn't it? What an absolute treat. It's a feast. It's a cinematic and audio feast. AI films come to mind, yeah. 26, well, the Sun is saying 2060. I mean, how much you can believe that, and how specific a date? I mean, I'm joking, I'm being sarcastic, but yeah, apparently 2060 is around the time. And finally, you've all been wondering about squirrels, haven't you? Squirrels, come on. Who likes squirrels? Or who hates squirrels? Our youngest used to call them fuck-its, because every time I saw one in the garden, I'd go, fuck it, because they were about to decimate whatever veg I was growing. This was way, way, way back when. Well, you're not going to believe this. Alongside the Hangover, 2090 Caranula, you say. Cloda Egan, you love squirrels. Butterfly Bell, you've seen Elvis twice. My daughter has robots bringing her food at uni. It's so cool, Keely Wendell. Really? Deborah Muck, my dog loves squirrels. Squirrels! I love that. Don't you? In Up, whenever the dog sees a squirrel. Squirrels! So, squirrels. Scientists have designed a contraceptive, I kid you not, for squirrels. And I just wanted to run this story only because they've designed a contraceptive for squirrels that they have to coat on their nuts. But not their nuts, the nuts they eat. So they go into squirrel boxes that only squirrels can go into, eat them, and they can't breed. Is that a humane way to control the squirrel population? Because by all accounts, it's decimating the red squirrel population. They're decimating wildlife areas. They're wanting to reduce the untold damage that grey squirrels do to woodland ecosystems. And they're using the contraceptive, as I said, in feeding boxes. They're literally coating their nuts. They're coating their nuts. I just wanted to say that. You can see a Nadia, can't you? In contraception, in contraceptive stuff, goo, something. And so hopefully this will reduce the population. There are thought to be just 160,000 red squirrels left in the UK, with only 15,000 in England, presumably the majority of them in Scotland. Traditionally, they manage the grey squirrel population by culling, but grey squirrels breed so quickly that the population recovers too quickly. Did you ever see Over the Hedge, Reese? I did, with the animals that steal from people's homes. Steve Carell voices the squirrel character, and it's so funny and always what I envision about squirrels. The girls loved Over the Hedge. It was one of their favourite kids' movies. So there you go, guys. There's a mixed bag. There's a mixed box of squirrel nuts. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a lovely day. Lots and lots of love. And something will be landing on the channel. I don't know what, but something will be landing on the channel. There's lots of stuff coming. And I hope you have a lovely, lovely Monday. And stay careful, stay hydrated, and be careful in the heat.